what is the annual exclusion?
Yeah, so it might make sense to give a little context on gift and estate tax for those of you who aren't
Yeah.
super familiar. The gift and estate tax, technically two different taxes, but essentially a single tax system. The gift tax is a tax that applies to transfers that you make during your lifetime. So usually this is gifts to your kids or grandkids. It could be gifts to your friend or something, but usually gifts to kids or grandkids. The estate tax is similar idea, but it applies to transfers you make upon your death. Let's say you leave a bunch of money to your kids when you die, that could be subject to estate tax. The estate tax is a pretty high tax. It's 40%. If you have $100 million, it's a $40 million tax. A lot of states have their own estate taxes, especially the high tax states like New York and in some of those other states, Massachusetts, that you might associate with higher taxes, although California doesn't have an estate tax. In some states, it can be up to a 52% effective estate tax rate.
So really, like the key thing is the gift and estate tax is for people who are passing assets on to really anyone who's not their spouse, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you get a deduction for gifts to your spouse. And so
You have
basically,
an unlimited, so you can pass on a
it's unlimited. Yeah. So the
yeah.
transfer to the spouse isn't going to be a problem, but eventually the spouse is going to die and then there'll be an estate tax problem then. So there's always eventually some kind of gift and estate tax issue, but there's no immediate
Yeah,
issue if you leave something to your spouse.
yeah. And the important piece of call out here, and this is where kind of mentioned up front of who this is for. This is people worried about the gift and estate tax. And it's important
Yeah.
context that Peter's bringing up is
Yeah.
this is one a problem is if you're over the lifetime exemption, which is currently about roughly $14 million per person. It's as of law it'll drop in half to about 7 million the start of
Yeah.
2026 unless the law passes. But a critical piece is one is for this to really be applicable is you need to either have or expect to have over those amounts. If you plan to give it all to charity, it's not a concern. If you have less than that or aren't worried about having more than that, it's not a concern. If you have or expect to have more than that and want to pass it on to future generations, these are where these things are really important.
So there's two big exclusions besides the marital deduction and charitable deductions. There's sort of two big exclusions from the gift and estate tax. And so one of them is what Monty mentioned, which is the lifetime exemption amount. So each person gets a lifetime exemption from gift and estate tax. And so as long as you're below that exemption, you don't have to actually pay any taxes. The vast majority of people are below the exemption amount, which changes over time. It's currently $13.61 million per. The other big exclusion is the annual exclusion, which is the amount that you can gift to other people in any given calendar year without even using any of your lifetime exemption amount. And so in 2024, you can gift $18,000 as many people as you want without using any of your lifetime exemption amount or paying any gift tax. If you have 3 kids, you can gift $18,000 to each of them. If you have 5 grandkids, you can gift $18,000 to all 5 of your grandkids. And you can do that every year. And so what a lot of people do is they just make consistent annual gifts and they use up their $18,000 in 2024 and they make another gift in 2025. And so if you keep doing this consistently, you can transfer a lot of wealth that way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, to that piece of the basics of okay, so you have lifetime exemption. Let's start with kind of like how you optimize this annual exclusion. Somewhat simply is you have $18,000 in 2024 that it's use it or lose it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So the reason this is a key thing, a key end of year estate tax thing, probably maybe the biggest is it resets every January 1st. So if you're going to use your 2024 exemption, you have a little over 3 weeks to do it. I guess 4 weeks, because that $18,000 per person is going to disappear at the end of this year, and then you'll have a new one for 2025, but you'll never be able to get back the 2024 annual exclusion amounts.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like simply put, it's like obvious question is like, what's the value of this? Let's say you have 2 kids. Each of your kids has 2 kids themselves. Let's say your gifts, you're 18,000. You're married, so you can give between you and your spouse, you can give 36,000 to each of 2 kids and 4 grandkids to 6 people, right? And so, kind of rough math, it's a little over 200,000 that you can give this year to those folks, gift and estate tax free, right, Peter?
Yeah. And so if you think about it, if you do that every year for 20 years and you're also getting investment returns on that $200,000 or whatever, that's going to be several $1,000,000 in 20 years. So you might think $18,000, not that much, but it really does add up over time, especially if you
Yeah.
have multiple beneficiaries.
Yeah, there's two like really important piece there. So that 18,000 you give, it's not taxable according to the kind of gift tax. It doesn't count towards your lifetime exemption.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't know if this is his question, but he might be asking about income tax. In general, any gift you make to somebody is not income
Yeah,
taxable to them. There's an exclusion under the tax code. Basically, gifts are not income for income tax
yeah,
purposes. If you gift $18,000 to your kid, they're not reporting that on their income tax return either.
yeah. It's not income tax to them as well. So piece here is use it or lose it if you're worried about the gift and estate tax.